Sheltered in the embrace of the bountiful Nyumo kingdom, the village of Mabaya hummed with quiet vitality, a humble haven where every soul was as familiar as the rising sun. It was a realm of fiery red soil and ancient baobab sentinels, where the dance of life swayed to the unchanging rhythm of the seasons and the age-old songs of daily toil. Among its people lived Lena, a young woman in her early 20s with a resilient spirit. After the death of her father, Lena inherited the small, time-worn inn he had built with his hands. It wasn't much, just a thatched roof over mud walls, but it had served countless strangers over the years. Her 10-year-old brother, Kofi, was her constant companion, a boy whose curiosity often led him into mischief. Together, they scraped by, selling simple meals and providing shelter to weary passers-by. Yet, the struggle was real. With a failing roof and dwindling visitors, the inn seemed to reflect Lena's quiet fears about their future. Even so, Lena refused to let despair overtake her. Each day she greeted her challenges with determination, finding joy in Kofi's laughter and the simple beauty of her village. Little did she know, her life was about to change in ways she could never imagine. It was the end of a long day when a knock came at the door of Lena's inn. She opened it to find a man standing before her, his clothes worn and dusty, his face lined with fatigue. He introduced himself as Sefu, a wandering beggar with no money but a desperate need for food and shelter. Lena hesitated for a moment, glancing at the pot of thin soup she had prepared for Kofi and herself. They barely had enough for two, yet her heart couldn't bear to turn the man away. "Come in," she said softly, offering him a seat by the fire. As she ladled out the soup, Kofi watched with wide eyes but said nothing. Sefu's gratitude was evident in every gesture, and despite her own hunger, Lena found satisfaction in knowing she had done the right thing. That night, as the stranger slept, Lena's thoughts lingered on the weight of kindness and its cost. She had no way of knowing that the man she had helped was not an ordinary wanderer, but King Obade himself, traveling in disguise to test the hearts of his people. King Obade had ruled Nyumo for many years, and though he was loved by many, he often worried about the true nature of his kingdom's people. Stories of greed and selfishness had reached his ears, and he decided to see for himself if goodness still thrived in the land. Disguised as Sefu, a penniless traveler, he had knocked on many doors across the kingdom, but most had turned him away. When Lena welcomed him into her home, he was deeply moved by her generosity. He observed her throughout the evening, how she shared her meager meal without complaint, how she spoke gently to her brother, and how she treated even a stranger with dignity. As he lay on the simple mat she had offered him, Obade's heart swelled with gratitude. He resolved to reward her kindness, but not immediately. First, he wanted to understand her struggles and learn more about her life. At dawn, Sefu prepared to leave Lena's inn. Before departing, he thanked her profusely, his voice thick with emotion. "You have shown me more kindness than I deserve," he said, bowing his head. Lena dismissed his praise with a wave of her hand. "It's nothing," she replied. "We all must help each other in this life." Kofi, who had been watching from the doorway, tugged at Lena's sleeve. "Will he come back?" he asked. Lena smiled faintly. "Who knows? The road is long, and travelers rarely pass the same way twice." As Sefu disappeared down the dusty path, Lena turned back to her daily chores, unaware that the man she had helped would soon return, not as a wanderer, but as a king. Several weeks passed, and life in Mabaya continued as usual. One afternoon, the sound of drums echoed through the village, signaling the arrival of an important visitor. Villagers gathered in the square, murmuring with excitement and curiosity. A grand entourage appeared, led by none other than King Obade. Dressed in royal robes, he was almost unrecognizable to Lena, who stood at the edge of the crowd with Kofi by her side. When the king's eyes met hers, he smiled warmly and gestured for her to step forward. "Lena of Mabaya," he announced, "your kindness has restored my faith in my people." Gasps rippled through the crowd as the king recounted how he had come to her in disguised as a wanderer. Lena's face flushed with surprise and disbelief. "You, you were Sefu, she stammered. Obade nodded. Your selflessness reminded me of the values we hold dear as a kingdom. For that, I wish to honor you. King Obade's first act of gratitude was to transform Lena's humble inn into a grand lodge for travelers. Within weeks, builders and artisans arrived in Mabaya, working tirelessly to reconstruct the inn. The new lodge stood as a symbol of hospitality and community, its walls adorned with carvings depicting acts of kindness. For Lena, the transformation was surreal. She watched with awe as her once crumbling inn became the pride of the village. The king also ensured that Lena and Kofi would never want for anything again, providing them with resources and support. Yet, despite her newfound prosperity, Lena remained humble. She continued to serve travelers with the same warmth and generosity that had first touched the king's heart. The villagers, inspired by her example, began to show greater kindness to one another, and Mabaya became a place where compassion thrived. With the inn flourishing, Lena found herself busier than ever. Travelers from across the kingdom came to stay, bringing with them stories and goods from distant lands. Mabaya's economy blossomed, as villagers seized the opportunity to sell crafts, produce, and services to the growing stream of visitors. Lena's bond with the king also deepened during this time. Obade visited the village often, not as a ruler, but as a friend and advisor. He encouraged Lena to take an active role in improving the community, and together they initiated projects to build wells, schools, and marketplaces. Their shared vision brought them closer, and though their relationship remained rooted in respect and collaboration, an unspoken affection began to grow between them. As they worked side by side, Lena and the king discovered that true prosperity was not just about wealth, but about uplifting others and creating a legacy of love and unity. While Lena focused on managing the inn and working with the king, Kofi's inquisitive nature led him on many adventures around the village. One day, he stumbled upon a group of the king's advisors discussing matters of state. Eager to learn, Kofi asked question after question, impressing the advisors with his quick mind and keen interest. When King Obade heard of this, he took the boy under his wing, teaching him about leadership, history, and the responsibilities of a ruler. Kofi thrived under the king's mentorship, and Lena couldn't have been prouder of her brother. The bond between Kofi and Obade further strengthened Lena's feelings for the king, as she saw how deeply he cared for her family. It became clear to everyone in Mabaya that the connection between Lena and the king was more than just a friendship, it was the foundation of something extraordinary. To celebrate the village's newfound prosperity, Lena and the king organized a grand festival. Villagers and travelers alike gathered for days of music, dancing, and feasting. The festival was a testament to the power of kindness and community, and it brought joy to everyone who attended. During the festivities, Obade took a moment to address the crowd. This village has shown me that the strength of a kingdom lies not in its wealth, but in the hearts of its people, he said. Let Mabaya be a beacon of hope for all. His words resonated deeply, and the festival became an annual tradition, reminding everyone of the values that had transformed their lives. As Lena watched the king interact with her people, she felt a sense of pride and gratitude. She knew that their journey together was just beginning, and that the future held endless possibilities. As seasons passed, the prosperity of Mabaya continued to grow. However, life remained unpredictable, and one fateful day, a sudden storm struck the village. The winds roared through Mabaya, tearing roofs from houses and toppling trees. Lena's newly built lodge suffered damage, but thanks to the solidarity among the villagers, repairs began immediately. The king arrived with his royal engineers, offering resources and manpower to help rebuild. Lena took charge, coordinating efforts and ensuring that no one was left without shelter or food. The crisis tested the strength of the community, but it also brought them closer together. King Obade watched with admiration as Lena's leadership shone, her calm demeanor inspiring everyone around her. In the aftermath of the storm, the village emerged stronger, its spirit unbroken. The experience reminded everyone, including the king, that resilience and unity were just as valuable as kindness. As life returned to normal in Mabaya, whispers of change began to circulate. Rumors spread that the king was considering naming a trusted advisor to oversee the development of villages like Mabaya across the kingdom. Many believed Lena was the perfect candidate, but she was hesitant. "My place is here," she told Obade when he broached the subject. "This is my home." The king respected her decision but couldn't hide his disappointment. Their bond had deepened over time, and he had come to rely on her insight and compassion. Yet, he knew that her love for Mabaya ran deep, and he would never force her to leave. Instead, he proposed an alternative, a partnership that would allow her to remain in Mabaya while playing a larger role in shaping the kingdom's future. The idea excited Lena, and together they began to plan the next chapter of their shared mission. As Lena and Obade worked on their plans, Kofi began to dream of his own future. Inspired by the king's mentorship, he expressed a desire to travel to the royal capital and study under the kingdom's greatest scholars. Lena was torn. She wanted her brother to have every opportunity, but the thought of being separated from him was painful. Obade offered his support, assuring Lena that Kofi would be well cared for. "He has great potential," the king said. "And I will make sure he thrives." With a heavy heart, Lena agreed, and preparations for Kofi's departure began. The villagers gathered to bid him farewell, showering him with gifts and blessings. As the young boy embarked on his journey, Lena stood by the road, her heart swelling with both pride and sadness. She knew that this was just the beginning of a bright future for her beloved brother. With Kofi away, Lena threw herself into her work, focusing on the projects she and the king had initiated. However, a new challenge soon arose. A neighboring village, struggling with poverty and drought, reached out for help. Lena and Obade decided to extend their efforts beyond Mabaya, rallying resources and volunteers to assist the neighboring community. The experience was eye-opening for Lena, as she witnessed the hardships faced by others and the transformative power of compassion. The villagers of Mabaya played a crucial role, sharing their knowledge and resources generously. The bond between the two villages grew stronger, and the success of the project inspired similar collaborations across the kingdom. Lena's reputation as a leader and advocate for the people continued to grow, solidifying her place as a key figure in the kingdom's future. As their work expanded, the bond between Lena and Obade deepened. One evening, as they sat by the fire discussing their plans, the king opened up about his feelings. "Lena," he began, "you have become more than a partner in this mission. You are someone I deeply admire and care for." Lena was taken aback but touched by his words. She had always respected and admired the king, but hearing his confession stirred emotions she had kept hidden. "Your kindness and vision have changed my life," she replied. "But I never imagined this." They agreed to take their time, allowing their relationship to grow naturally as they continued their work. The moment marked a turning point, deepening their connection and opening the door to a future they would build together. After several years of study, Kofi returned to Mabaya, now a young man brimming with knowledge and ambition. His arrival was met with celebration, and Lena couldn't hide her tears of joy. Kofi's time in the capital had transformed him, but his love for his village remained unchanged. He immediately began working alongside Lena and Obade, bringing fresh ideas and energy to their projects. His return also strengthened Lena's resolve to continue their mission, as she saw the impact their efforts had on the younger generation. Kofi's bond with the king remained strong, and together they worked to ensure that the values of kindness, unity, and resilience were passed on to future generations. As the years passed, the impact of Lena and Obade's work spread across the kingdom. Villages that had once been isolated and struggling were now connected and thriving. Schools, marketplaces, and community centers became common sites, each a testament to the power of collaboration. Lena's role as a leader grew, and she became a trusted advisor to the king. Their relationship also deepened, rooted in mutual respect and a shared vision for the future. Together, they proved that a kingdom's strength lay not in its wealth or armies, but in the hearts of its people. The story of Mabaya became a symbol of hope, inspiring others to embrace kindness and unity. Lena's journey from a struggling innkeeper to a leader and partner to the king was a testament to the transformative power of compassion. One sunny afternoon, as they walked through the village, King Obade turned to Lena with a serious expression. "Lena," he said, "you have been my partner in every way. I cannot imagine a future without you by my side. Will you marry me?" Lena's heart raced as she considered his words. She had always admired the king, but the idea of becoming queen was overwhelming. After a moment of silence, she smiled and replied, "Yes, but only if we continue this journey together, as equals." Obade laughed and nodded. "I wouldn't have it any other way." Their engagement was met with joy and celebration across the kingdom, symbolizing the union of compassion and leadership. The wedding of Lena and King Obade was a grand affair, attended by villagers, dignitaries, and travelers from across the kingdom. The ceremony was held in Mabaya, a tribute to the place where their journey had begun. Lena's simple yet elegant gown reflected her humility and grace, while Obade's attire symbolized his royal lineage. As they exchanged vows, the crowd erupted in cheers, celebrating not just their union but the values they represented. The event was a testament to the power of love, unity, and shared purpose. For Lena, the day was a dream come true, but she remained grounded, knowing that their work was far from over. Together, she and Obade pledged to continue their mission, building a kingdom where kindness and community thrived. As queen, Lena continued to lead with compassion and humility. She and Obade focused on creating policies that prioritized education, healthcare, and community development. Their efforts transformed Nyumo into a beacon of hope and prosperity, attracting admiration from neighboring kingdoms. Kofi, now a respected leader in his own right, played a key role in shaping the kingdom's future, ensuring that the values of kindness and unity were upheld. The story of Lena's journey from an innkeeper to a queen became a cherished folktale, passed down through generations. It reminded everyone that greatness was not defined by power or wealth, but by the love and compassion one showed to others. As the sun set on Mabaya, the entire village gathered in the newly built square to celebrate another year of prosperity and unity. The lodge, once a crumbling inn, now stood as a shining symbol of what kindness and resilience could achieve. Lena, standing beside King Obade, looked out over the crowd, her heart full of gratitude. The journey had not been easy, but the rewards had been immeasurable. Together, they had transformed their corner of the kingdom into a beacon of hope, and the bond they shared had become unshakable. Kofi, now a young man full of confidence and wisdom, had returned from the capital to join the celebration. He had grown into a leader in his own right, eager to contribute to the village and continue the work his sister had begun. As he embraced Lena, he whispered, "You've done so much for all of us, but most of all, for me. I'll never forget it." King Obade stepped forward to address the villagers, his voice steady and warm. "Mabaya has taught me many lessons, but the greatest of them all is that true wealth lies not in gold or power, but in the kindness we show one another." Lena's generosity opened the door to this journey, and it is her spirit that continues to inspire us all. The villagers erupted into applause, their faces glowing with pride and joy. Turning to Lena, the king took her hands in his and said, "Your heart has transformed this village, and my own. If you would allow it, I would be honored to walk beside you for the rest of my days, not just as a partner in our work, but in life." Lena's eyes filled with tears as she nodded, unable to find the words to express her emotions. The village cheered, their love for Lena and the king radiating through the square. Together, they had proven that kindness was the greatest treasure of all, and as they faced the future, they knew that the bonds they had forged would only grow stronger. In the heart of Nyumo, where a king once tested kindness in disguise, a legacy of love and compassion would endure for generations to come.